Okay, I think we're ready to start. Hello, everybody. My name is Ivan Nokrin. I'm a co-founder of PropTech Russia. If you can hear and if you can see me, please type a plus in the chat room so that I know that you are here. Very well. Today, our event is dubbed in the Russian language. And if you want to listen to the original English language, you can tap a little button with the planet icon next to your name on the screen. And then you select original English. If you prefer listening to the translation in Russian, then you select the relevant option Russian by tapping the same button. I'm glad to welcome everybody to another episode of PropTech Wednesday webinar, where you can discover PropTech startups and their innovative solutions from around the globe. Each Wednesday, our editors select a handful of new products from a specific industry segment and present them to you. And today our topic is digital real estate management. It's a very large theme that encompasses the operational period of the property lifecycle. And today we will discover global startups who are developing professional solutions for real estate management in different verticals. We will hear about a variety of related topics, from smart facility management, asset and portfolio management, to building digital twins of properties and districts, and also re-engineering the rental process for residential properties. Today, we will have an opportunity to listen to the founders of startups themselves. We're going to hear from the founders of such global startups as Facilio, Assetti, Winio, and Milu. The founders will speak today about their solutions and how they are revolutionizing the real estate management process. Each of our valued speakers will have 12 to 15 minutes to run a presentation, and then it'll be followed by a 5-minute Q&A session to answer our listeners' questions. Dear listeners, please post your questions to the speakers in the special question chat so they don't get lost in the public chat room. For that, you can tap a question tab on the top right corner of your screen. A little technical note: mobile app users should not have much trouble with the app, but if you're on a browser and if you're experiencing any difficulties with the picture or sound, just refresh your browser page. And if you're experiencing any technical issues, please describe those in the chat room, and our guys will do our best to straighten things out. Also, a technical note: this webinar is recorded. It'll be published in a few days on the PropTech Wednesday YouTube channel. You can find the link to the channel in our chat. Our moderator will make sure that everybody can see the link. All right, so today our first guest is Prabhu Ramachandran, the CEO of one of the fastest growing global startups called Facilio. We're really honored and happy to have you, Prabhu, with us today. Facilio offers a complete data platform which is engineered for property intelligence, and I will give the floor to Prabhu to speak about how Facilio brings together data from building management systems, from the people who operate in the buildings, and external data such as weather data or CT data. And we'll talk. I'll give Prabhu the chance to talk more in detail about it himself. It's great to have you with us today, Prabhu. So tell us, how do you capture all that data and turn it into actionable insights for property owners and tenants?
Yeah, thank you, Ivan, and thank you to all the team at PropTech Russia. I welcome once again all the participants for this webinar. My name is Prabhu Ramachandran. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Facilio. Facilio is a US headquartered PropTech startup. We have operations in US, Europe, Australia, India, and Middle East. We are currently into our 5th year of from the starting. So today I will broadly cover about one aspect of the whole PropTech because of the time we have only 15 minutes, where how is the broader CMMS as a technology, which has been there around for last, say, 25, 30 years, has to evolve to meet the modern needs of real estate operation owners. Of course, as part of that, the data is key part of it. So what answers Ivan's question. So what we do is we have an IoT software that has the ability to integrate with most of the existing automation systems, sensors, controllers, including HVAC, elevator, fire safety, security systems, access control systems, or any other modern IoT sensors like air quality sensors, people count detection sensors. So we integrate with these and pick up operational data about error codes, alarms, running conditions of these equipments, external weathers, number of occupants. So using all of these, we have built a data platform plus a suite of applications. On top of that, we are going to cover that as we speak. So all of these applications are super powered with the data that we get from existing sensors, existing automation systems. So with that, I will I'll just quickly get into the webinar topic. Yeah, so our solutions are targeted for large real estate portfolios. We're talking about at least a dozen of different properties or minimum few million square feet of properties. We help property operations team to deliver agile, data-driven, and connected operations. Our solutions also specifically are engineered for executives, CEOs, VP of operations, owners who run a wide portfolio of properties to gain portfolio-wide visibilities on their day-to-day operations and maintenance, and also help them with very specific insights from the data that we collect so that they're able to make informed decisions. Most of the executive today is on the operations side. They have very little technology for themselves. A lot of technology is driven towards the operators and supervisors. But we see that there is a huge gap for leadership. We are addressing that. And our offering itself cuts across facilities digitization, building analytics, control and optimization of building equipments for better end user experiences across portfolio. On the right, you will see some of our customers and partners. So we currently have customers right from Australia, Singapore, India, Middle East, Europe, US, and Brazil. Customers include large real estate owners, large real estate occupiers, retail operators, airports, companies that are doing managed services like facilities management or remote monitoring services to other real estate companies. This is our typical customer profile. So if you see in last decade, it has become a huge struggle for property operations team to deliver what they're supposed to deliver. Earlier, it was all good old days because until say 10 years back, the expectation from a property operations and maintenance teams were mostly revolving around the assets. So you're supposed to have a digital list of assets, and then you have a 52-week calendar for each assets on maintenance, and you're supposed to do the maintenance, have a digital copy of that, record of that. So the what to be delivered is asset management. How it was delivered is predominantly around capabilities like planning your maintenance, scheduling it, and then generating that into work orders tickets. And the primary users were technicians of the solution. But what has happened in recent years is that as more and more the businesses that are occupying the buildings are getting into digital experiences, the companies that are occupying. Also, the occupants, like the end users, are also getting digital experience in terms of mobile apps, ordering your cab or ordering food, everything is digital today. They're expecting the same kind of digital experience from real estate owners. So it's all experience management. It is no more just system of records, asset management that is expected out of the operations and maintenance team. But our traditional CMMS systems are all offering the old way. They're all driven around asset management. So the what to be delivered has moved beyond asset management into aspects like tenant and customer experience. How do you create a frictionless experience for tenants, including say a tenant billing, energy management, air quality monitoring, comfort monitoring for occupants, people counting. So all of these are now part of what to be delivered by the operations and maintenance team. Plus, there is also a huge focus on spend optimization. The operations and maintenance leaders are now expected to reduce their operational cost, increase the value-added services they can deliver for occupants and other customers. So what has increased and how that is being done beyond planned maintenance, customers are now looking at automated, digitized approvals, inspection management, payments, rostering, reporting. All of these are done today, whether they do it with multiple software or manual, but they are doing all of these today by themselves. And also for whom these are value has to be delivered has moved beyond technicians to today, you have to manage vendors. All your third-party vendors has to be managed so that you extract better work from them. Similarly, the customers and tenants has to be managed, provide better experience, health, wellness for them. And also the C-suite. Today, more and more board meetings are talking about real estate as a critical part because both on an operational expense point of view, plus particularly post-COVID, for any business, going back to office, logistics, storage, all of these are very, very critical. So the C-suite and owners should also are expected to use what are to be served by the property operations team. So with that, there is a gap in traditional what traditional CMMS is offering. So how customers are addressing that gap? So they are beyond a traditional CMMS. Customers are going and procuring piecemeal softwares, like they use some existing ERP vendor to do vendor management, contract management. They're going and procuring help desk software, workplace software, and then for energy management, they're extending the BMS or getting energy management software. Plus, there is still a lot of things that are done manually with emails, phone call, WhatsApp, Excel spreadsheet, Word documents, and all of that. Plus, customers are also setting up either internal teams or going and outsourcing as a huge services spend to stitch together all these software, address the gaps. So you end up with like dozens of different operations and maintenance tool. But what is really required is a completely reimagined CMMS that can address most part of what piecemeal softwares are delivering, or it has to seamlessly integrate with these systems so that the manual process are reduced. Manual process, it should also have huge automation capability to reduce manual process and also reduce the spend on services in terms of developing software, maintaining that. It's a huge cost. So the CMMS, a modern CMMS has to be reimagined so that it is addressing these problems. Okay. So if you look at a simple workflow from where a tenant raises a complaint and then it gets executed, in today's world, there are so much of complex workflows. It has to be notified to an engineer for inspection, whether the problem is valid, and there is an inspection report. Then you have to select the right vendor to solve the problems. Then there are invoices, payments involved. You have to manage the SLAs of the vendor, performance of the vendor. Finally, the job gets executed. So this simple workflow is going through so many different software, so many manual processes, emails. So from the time a tenant raises a request and the job gets executed, even though the actual time spent to solve the problem is very small, it takes several days to pass through all of that. But you need a reimagined CMMS that can span across not only FM operations, finance teams, finance software, third-party vendors, and give visibility for board management, engage the tenants and the customers. That is what is required, but there is a gap in current CMMS. Okay. So what Facilio is delivering is, we are very, very focused on real estate as a vertical. So we are only doing for real estate. We go deeper into real estate. We understand real estate workflows better. So we have completely reimagined the operations and maintenance software for real estate. How we are doing it? So before we see how, broadly, any operations teams are focusing on these three areas. How do they get to operational excellence? After COVID, they are looking at changing internal team structures, getting more agile, looking at better margins. Customer satisfaction is a key area. They're looking at creating transparency for tenants, visibility for occupants. And finally, they're also looking at how can they add new services so that their revenue, new streams broadens. So with that, what we are doing is, so our model is, if you follow from the bottom, the bottommost part is what a traditional CMMS delivered: asset management, some level of vendor management, service management. But what we have done there is everything is mobile enabled. All functionalities are contextually delivered in different mobile apps for technician, for mid-level managers, for senior executives. So on top of that, we have a layer of automation layer where from a functional level, we have a workflow engine, a root cause analysis engine, a rule engine, all of that combined, delivered workflow automation, compliance automation, accounting integration and automation, automated scheduling, restoring, reporting, analytics are all part of this automation layer, where beyond a traditional CMMS, we help customers to automate their manual processes, automate their approvals, automate their compliance, go and integrate with third-party systems so that the time and effort required is drastically reduced. On top of the automation layer, we have a stakeholder engagement layer of software SaaS applications, where that could include a branded tenant portal, customer portal, a module for communicating with tenants, getting feedbacks from tenants, and then a single pane of decision view for C-level audience on how all their properties are behaving today, what is the customer NPS, what is the sustainability score of each building, what is the SLA of each vendors. All of these are delivered. So all of these combined elevates the experience for customers, and it also increases the value that the CMMS can provide. So we strongly believe that this is a necessity today. This is not a huge innovation, but this is a basic necessity that is required for operations and maintenance team. So what is the future? We have this today, but how can we help customers look at future, go beyond the ordinary and excel? So what we have done, that is on top of this platform, we have another layer, which is the IoT layer that we earlier touched upon, where we have a IoT software that goes and integrates with existing automation system, sensor system, weather data, HR systems for people counting. We are delivering applications like how do we pick up the alarms, work on the alarms, do root cause analysis, create work orders in a predictive way, predictive maintenance, condition-based management, air quality monitoring, comfort monitoring, cost impact analysis on how a particular schedule of HVAC will increase or decrease the cost of the energy. So all of these are delivered as a suite of application on top of our standard CMMS features. Okay? So we also understand that it's not easy for customers to migrate to a new CMMS that easily. So what we have done beyond that is, if you are using an existing legacy CMMS, like say IBM Maximo or MRI or FSI, we can integrate with that, but still we can deliver the automation layer on top of your CMMS. We can deliver contextual intelligence for different users, and we can also put in our IoT layer to create condition-based maintaining, air quality monitoring. So we have done it in a way that it is very easy for customers to migrate our solution without disturbing their existing investments. So with that, I'll just capture a couple of just two use cases very quickly from how we are helping a couple of our customers. So before that, beyond a traditional CMMS, Just to summarize, we have a workflow automation as a capability. We have a separate module to create visibilities for executives, and we are engaging all stakeholders, third-party vendors, in-house FM teams, finance teams, sustainability team, leadership. All of them are engaged. We go deep into asset management like HVAC management, elevator management, and then everything can be connected. So because we are connecting to building systems, all these apps are connected apps. Okay. This is an example of a customer in Australia. They have 25 plus, mostly large properties. They are working with 600 different vendors. Before Facilio, they were using like 4 different software: Yardi, SASE for vendor compliance, tenant portal, and a work order management system. The pain point is data was scattered. They have to manage 25 properties, multiple vendors. There was so much of manual processes because they have to juggle between 4 different applications. So they were spending like 3 days with few people every month to do verifications and compliance, and it was taking a lot of time for resolution of their tenants. They moved to Facilio. So what has happened is that it's all their O&M data is in Facilio. There is a huge workflow automation between us and Yardi. We are replacing 3 of that, and we are integrating with Yardi alone. There is 1 system plus Yardi now. So the SLA compliance has drastically improved, and also the time required to fix problem has drastically reduced. So before it was from a tenant complaint to job execution. So it is emails plus Nightfrank plus some Yardi, again as a SASE and another tool. Now it is tenant request is from Facilio tenant portal, and then automated vendor selection. The vendors are in Yardi. Facilio has built-in automation to go to Yardi, talk, and select vendors. And then we have a Facilio's FM module for compliance check. There is a vendor portal where vendors once assigned, they log in, they go and execute their job. And finally, from tenant portal, tenants can see who worked on the problem, what is the cost, if at all is something. So it's like one product with the Yardi integration, very, very smooth. The final example, this is a large energy and FM service provider in UK. They're managing 150 properties. Earlier, they were using 3 different vendor BMS, an FDD software, a separate ticketing, and then a lot of manual Excel sheets. They were always in firefighting mode. They're spending like 2 admin days every week to collate data from these systems and show it to tenants. A lot of money wasted, time wasted. Now they have moved to Facilio's IoT integrated O&M platform. Plus, we are also integrating with their BMS systems and ticketing system, where we are aggregating data, automating the alarm to work orders, doing specific condition-based maintenance so that customers can reduce their truck roll into all these 150 properties. And we are given mobile apps to all the technicians and relevant teams. So there is a huge reduction in workforce. Plus, there is a very high, around 18% improvement in performance of the HVAC systems in terms of their overall usage plus the energy that they consume. Yeah, so I think hopefully I was on time. So these are some of our contacts. If you have any question, please raise. I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. And maybe it's important to underline that as we are facing a growing number of solutions in the market, I think it becomes essential that the multiple applications that the companies are using are integrated and exchange data effectively and create what is referred to usually as a data fabric, which allows companies to turn this data into, like we mentioned, actionable insights and act based on this data analytics and make better decisions and more clear decisions. And I think it's a great example of how Facilio solves that problem. And I love your examples with KPIs and the influence that and the impact that you are causing within within your clients.
Yeah.
Just for our audience to understand how big you are and how much you've grown since establishment, can you just give a rough estimate how many properties, square meters, volume in money terms do you have under management in your system?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we have customers across different regions: Australia, Singapore, Middle East countries, across Europe, Brazil, India, and US. Currently, we are managing more than 75 million square feet. Some of the customers include large accounts like Brookfield, which is one of the top 5 real estate companies in the world, to Starwood in US, Altair in Middle East, which is a large conglomerate. We are managing around 75 properties for them. So these are some of the customer profiles. As a team, we are close to 100 people now, and we have offices across in New York, in US, Dubai, India, Australia, Singapore, Italy, and UK. So we are growing fast. From a growth point of view, what we are seeing is that particularly after COVID, there is a huge need for our kind of solutions. So we have been growing like 4 to 5x this year. By end of this year, in next 4 months, we are planning to add another 40 million square. Currently, we are 75, and we are looking to touch like 110 to 120 million square feet by end of this year.
That is very impressive. Thank you for this, for these insights.
Yeah.
My understanding is that we do not have any written questions yet. So I suggest we follow with the next presenter, but let's stick around for the Q&A session in the end. I think we've started a very interesting discussion. And our next guest today is Hannu Rantanen, the CEO of Assetti. It's an established PropTech company from Finland who develops a cloud-based asset management app for real estate investors and portfolio managers. I think it's a good continuation of this trend of discussion that we started about data exchange and about KPIs and impact that the new solutions are making in the traditional business. And thank you for taking the time to join us today, Hannu. Let's talk about how Assetti helps asset managers minimize their manual work in Excel spreadsheets. So over to you.
Thank you. You hear my voice well?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hey, first of all, thanks to everyone for having this opportunity to present Assetti. But before actually jumping into actual presentation and presenting the tool as itself, I really would like to touch a point that I was fascinated about the previous presentation in a way, because it's all about the connectivity and interoperability of data, basically. So you have a lot of legacy systems out there. There's a lot of in data silos. So it's really about bringing that data in together, so to say, to have a structure and to base any actions based on the structured analyzed data. And what Facilio is doing, what I see is sort of like from the point of view of facility management and property management, in order to really look at the building from the technical point of view and the maintenance, we're doing exactly the same for asset management. So the theme of today is actually the asset and portfolio management, as any of in the audience might be doing that work as their profession. So my name is Hannu Rantanen, typical Finnish name, based in Helsinki, Finland, which is within EU. So we're very well aligned with the GDPR and all of that's what the EU requires from the data management point of view. But nevertheless, having said all of that, I would jump to the first question, which I was faced years back. And that also bears a story that Assetti as a product was born out of frustration. So I was working before founding Assetti in a managing company, serving a lot of international investors, having their portfolios across Nordics. And when the day was over, we all operated in Excel. So I simply got tired of managing the portfolios with multiple spreadsheets, client spreadsheets, own spreadsheets, some others spreadsheets, and all putting that together and to make any sense of the actual performance, financial performance, investment performance, follow up where we're going, and also whether we were doing a good job. So just a technical note, are you flipping the slides, or shall I share the screen? Sorry, Sirfan. So if I share the screen, so then I might be controlling, if you don't mind. So because now I'm seeing.
There you go.
Here we go. Okay. Anyway, so tired of managing your portfolios with multiple spreadsheets, and the reason and the answer to that we created in Assetti, which is basically a SaaS-based, so browser-based software as a service application meant for asset and portfolio management for real estate investors, family offices, asset managers, investment managers, fund managers, and so forth, in order really to build the view of the asset itself from the financial performance point of view, but also from the point of view of a portfolio. So aggregating the data from individual assets in order to create the portfolio view of any selection in any format and in any kind of like jurisdiction, physical, where do you actually have those assets around the globe. So basically, what Assetti does, it aggregates and visualizes the data of your assets and then aggregates on a portfolio level. And the obvious benefits, of course, coming from that is that you have all your assets accessible in one place. So wherever you are, whether meeting a tenant or meeting your investors or think about doing some capex project, you can really deep dive in the figures and really think about, how is it doing, and also make some notes if you're visiting the actual asset, the physical building on site, or if any of your property managers are visiting the building and you have a refurbishing of any vacant unit to be leased out to a new prospect, so to speak. So all your portfolio performance visualized on any device, and one of the things what we at least are strong believers is about the connectivity. So a lot of data which Assetti actually handles and visualizes is residing already in some legacy system. We do have a very, very effective way of setting up the data. So the setup as we speak from the customer's point of view is rather straightforward and simple, and there are no hidden costs. So we're not like consultants who will be stick around for ages to come, but the application will be there and the data synchronization and update will be automatic. We have grown so far pretty awesome, in an awesome way. So we started from basically from Helsinki, Finland. We're now in 7 countries in Europe. We have over 50 customers, anything from a very, very large investment companies like HIH in Germany, in Hamburg, all the way down to sort of a smaller family offices, which might be running a portfolio consisting of only 5 to 10 properties altogether. But on the other hand, thanks to Assetti, they can, you can also run smaller portfolios as we speak in order just to replace the Excel as your only tool. We have roughly now, I think we're approaching already 30 billion worth of assets under management, and the latest figure which I checked was somewhere close to 500 active users on our platform. And we do have a global partner network in over 10 countries, and also when it comes to Russia, we have also a person on the ground to touch. So you're very welcome to have a chat anytime after this webinar as we speak. But what does it then actually physically do? Assetti is promising that you will have all your relevant information in one place. So that includes the property information from the sort of like from the property point of view, from the real estate point of view, because real estate is basically a very real asset. Then the lease information, which the UK English is called tenancy schedule, but in the US English it's called rent roll. So we do have that in Assetti. And then the financial information regarding the general ledger, account maps, and so forth. So we basically, based on mapping, we can synchronize the data in order to show that financial information in Assetti. Then values and a lot of pictures, and then you can actually use Assetti in a sense that you have all your information at your fingertips. So we just want to call it like whenever you're meeting an investor, whether you are on site at the property or whether you're meeting a tenant in any form of like a person working within asset management, and that relates to even like leasing managers and investment directors. But then again, when you have the property data with all related details, plus the income and cost, plus the asset values, plus the images, plus the rent roll, then you can actually visualize all the data in order to make any kind of like rational decisions and any kind of a conclusions what to do with the asset and what are the long-term issues vis-a-vis the short-term burning issues. And you can also, while you're acquiring an asset, you could easily tap into an application which includes your pipeline, as well as when you're selling the asset, you can utilize the data retrieved from Assetti through an API to a third-party application. So you can really cover the whole asset life cycle, anything from the screening, acquiring the asset, managing it, eventually selling it to another investor. So let's talk about a second about what is actually asset management. So asset management as a term is rather large as we speak. So it's not like in the hands of the asset managers, but there are a lot of touch points to different stakeholders when you look at an asset from the asset management point of view. So you might very well, you advisors, which typically is the case. You might have brokers if you're either leasing any unit or even like selling the property. There's always some controller or chief financial officer who sits on top of the figures for the whole operations, not only for real estate as we speak, or if it's a real estate investor, then it's all about the real estate as we speak, but still there's a need to take a deep dive in the figures. Then there is actually the investor, the asset manager, then the investment management team with its all sort of like modeling capabilities, and then depending on the type of operations, if you're a small family office, you might not have the property manager on your payroll, but you might be using any of the agents, property managers, who's doing the sort of the property management part of the operations, but you want to have them engaged with your assets because real estate is very management intensive and they're physical people in real physical locations. So you need to bring your property manager also on the platform. And then some of the cases also surveyors and valuators. So it's one app, but many users, but when you're having an account in Assetti, you're actually controlling the access, but you can give an access to a lot of like various roles which you can actually engage with the data you have on our platform. So basically, it's all about the yields. So Assetti gives the full insight to your portfolio and property performance, anything from the yields and values to vaults and whales regarding vacancy and maturity. Calculate the tenant profitability if you're releasing a unit, just calculating how much you would retrieve money from the overall length of period of the actual lease agreement. You can take a deep dive into demographics about your tenants, look at the unit metrics, what are the long-term plans regarding how you're going to reduce your operating expenses and how you're going to spend the capital expenditures like energy savings investment or anything regarding those things. So you basically manage your OPEX and CAPEX plus the tenants within Assetti, and that's all the that's the holy grail of asset management as we speak when you think about the financial performance of Assetti. And the power of Assetti really comes that you can really drill down from the portfolio level down to a single property lease and tenant. So you can stay on the very high level on the portfolio level and then take a deep dive on the actual and factual situation. Where are we regarding that one specific tenant, for example, in one specific property, or then they can aggregate it view. And goes without saying, the full financial data is typically the part of the asset management operations. So if you look at the P&L or cash flow statement and in the future, and then also following up your initial business plan, sort of like what you did in terms of the underwriting when you actually acquired and planned to have the future financial performance of that acquired property, which then became part of your active asset management portfolio. And then, of course, one of the things is like intuitive things is the deep dive of the data, but also to maturity, people have breakdowns of values and so forth. So really get an up-to-date picture and really understanding where are we going. And for example, especially in the times of COVID, a lot of like discussions with the customers is the risk exposure. What kind of exposure I have from my cash flow from the type of customers if I'm running a retail portfolio, or if say Adidas would be one of the anchor tenants in most of the or sort of like retail assets we have, if they would drastically reduce the amount of space they're using, what kind of an impact that would mean, and so forth and so forth. So you can take a lot of like these kind of use cases where you think about the portfolio from the opportunity point of view, but also from the risk point of view. How much exposure I have to different locations, different type of asset classes, different type of tenant profiles or tenant segments as we speak. So all in all, I would say that the managing based on data or leading based on data has become more and more evident during the times of COVID. So you can't really rely only Excel only, because the processes are typically manual and tidy. So and on top of everything, we have the visualized KPIs, so which you can use with any type of a browser-based device, so to speak. But nevertheless, I would now, if you allow me, just to take a bit of a like showing the application for 2 minutes. This will be now a product demo, but what you've seen on the slides as kind of like, okay, Assetti can do this and this, but I really like
Hannu, may I jump in and suggest the flow for the demo, because we have a first question.
Okay.
Regarding your presentation.
Yeah.
And the question is, what do you mean by relevant asset information when you talk about the parameters of data that go in the description of an asset? And
okay.
I think it's a very important question when it comes to data set.
Definitely,
so
it comes.
It makes sense to
Yes.
to show what's
Yes.
in it.
I think, yeah, I can be very brief, and actually through that question I can show the application for 60 seconds. I think we anyway have a very tight schedule for today, and anyone is welcome for the separate demonstration. But basically, if you look at Assetti, their level of data, so you have portfolios, you have properties, and within properties you have units, leases, and tenants. So if I would say that these are my portfolios, and whatever they are, but let's say that I want to take a look at the portfolio called United Kingdom Real Estate, I can look at what they're consisting of, what properties are there, and then I can click on one specific asset, and then you look at what you have on a specific asset from the relevant data from the asset point of view. And our thinking is that you may have data on plots, you may have data on buildings, not necessarily, because you can also run asset operation on very shallow Excel-based rental data only, but you can then, like what we actually managing asset, these are the units and the leases. So if you're interested on one specific lease, then you can actually take a deep dive through the fact sheet, what this lease is actually giving us as we speak. So when we say relevant data from the asset point of view, you have all the physical objects covered in Assetti, meaning the buildings, the plot, which is basically a real estate as we speak from the legal point of view, the units and the leases and the tenants, and then what we call metadata. So you can write the strategy, you can also run your CapEx projects, but also not least and by neither at last is the whole full financial exposure, meaning that you can map your existing reporting into Assetti and then have your actual budget review and further sort of a scenarios regarding your financial performance. So that is something what we call sort of like the data setups, that like have your properties, the units either vacant or leased, and the leases with their belonging tenant information, and then you have Assetti actually operational as we speak, either through an API or through our partners, what legacy systems you or your service providers are running. And then when you have sort of the minimal viable product in terms of the data coverage, then Assetti can draw a lot of like KPIs already ready, anything from sort of like basic yields, vacancies, and maturities up to something what we call like future scenario and so forth. And then if you want to look at just one specific portfolio, then you choose any of that selection, whether being a portfolio or one specific asset within your portfolio. So you can choose, and then Assetti actually takes a deep dive into that portfolio from the financial point of view. So
Hannu, sorry to need to stop you.
Yes.
Just being mindful of the time.
Yes.
Let's follow up with one more question about the product.
Yep.
And we'll have to leave the rest of the Q&A until the end of the session.
Yes.
Thanks for running through the presentation and the brief demo.
Yes.
The question: what kind of role does a commercial broker have in the system? Is it for commercial brokers, or is it designed to be used by owners? And
it's designed more from the point of view being on the side of the owner, either the one investing their own money, so family office to sort of like bigger sort of like institutionals, but also asset managers serving those on a special vehicle, whether they have invested their own money and then most of the money is coming from external investors. So yes, it's close. However, we do have use cases where brokers have been using Assetti, and on the other hand, they're typically in the form of a stakeholder. So an investor using any broker can then actually give an access that if you want to like do some specific assignment on that specific property, whether that's leasing process or that's totally like a like acquisition / the sell of the asset process.
And then again, my understanding is that everything is possible with integration. So if there are any brokerage tools or CRMs, it is up to the integration process to make sure that these systems are seamlessly connected.
And we can also do also nowadays even like file-based, which we can connect to an API. So we've done a lot of, let's say, last 3 years, it's been all about the integration. So more welcome to whatever case you have to take a deeper dive into that.
Thank you very much once again, and let's save some of the other questions until the end of the session, even when we have time. And thank you, Hannu. Whenever we talk about the workflow automation, like in the case with Facilio or Assetti, we inevitably run into the discussion of data exchange and integration, like we said earlier. Today, we are happy to have with us in this webinar Nicholas Wern, CEO and founder of the company called Winio. Nicholas is a well-known digital strategy and innovation expert, and his company Winio is working on AI-ready plug-and-play digital twin. The solution is provided as platform as a service for existing assets and also for new construction. Combining 3D models, IoT, real-time data, bringing people, systems, and AI under one interoperable environment with minimalistic vendor lock and open scalability. The aim of the solution is to reduce CO2, lower maintenance costs, increase well-being and productivity, make better decisions faster, save money, but also make money, and also create new ways of making money. In a future-ready way where everyone in the world can innovate with their assets in an understandable way. That sounds like a dream. So tell us more about the status of the solution and about its first implementation in the district heating digital twin project in Sweden. Nicholas, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I don't know. Can you see my screen? Classic start here.
Yes.
You can? Okay, so let's see if this works. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, and you can see my screen now as well?
Yes.
Perfect.
Microsoft didn't fail this time.
So you should see like smart building and smart heating for a planetary purpose, right?
That is what we see, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, actually the sound is coming out from my computer, but it's fine. So yes, thank you so much for that presentation, and it definitely sounds fantastic, and hopefully it will be. So this is what I'm going to talk about: smart buildings and smart heating for a planetary purpose. This has been some of the members in this project, and of course everything we do is for the global goals. And we got to make smarter decisions faster, knowing that there's no business to be done on a dead planet. I think we all hopefully can agree on that. So just quick about me, like you said, Ivan, and thank you again for inviting me. CEO founder of Winio, working with strategy and innovation and specializing in digital twins, doing that in many different segments. Starting off with building automation, smart buildings 7 years ago. Before that, a lot of other things. But then, buildings are everywhere. We need to do a lot with buildings, and Facilio and Assetti are doing an amazing job. Super, impressed and by everything that they do, and everything that I do. Try to act as a complement to existing systems and leverage that as much as we can. So working with event streaming platforms in Industry 4.0, manufacturing, healthcare, a lot of different things. Providing thought leadership of a podcast, a newsletter called Beyond Buildings that you should check out. Recently onboarding a team of 15 amazing co-leaders that is helping us, get this stuff to market with architects, developers, project managers, IoT, IP and innovation strategists, with a network of 14,000 people. And so the global challenge, or one of the global challenges relevant to real estate, is of course that we have a lot of buildings. So my company participated, or we won an innovation tender for a smart city, or for a medium city here in Sweden, where they wanted to get into an existing building, actually 3 schools, to reduce the energy consumption. And it was focused a lot on smart heating and district heating solutions to reduce carbon footprints, but also get an understanding, what is happening in the actual buildings, and to run the district heating system with more access to context. And you're going to see and understand why these cool lines are here as well. So we started actually this year. So we're running pretty fast. But again, I've been working, in this industry for quite some time and working as a consultant. But this is, a chance to, create a product. And it's AI optimized buildings heating. So the intent or the proposal from the tender was just simple. And it's basically what Ivan said as well, it sounds fantastic. So this sounded fantastic because I don't think that this existed, and it's almost existing right now with our product. But to develop a wireless self-learning platform, independent, open, control monitoring system that in a continuous optimal way can handle any situation based on the context. And it has to be flexible and optimize the heat supply, considering the room, as in, the individual radiators in these rooms via the building, as in the system, and, take into account everything. And also, the energy supplier and the energy producer. So the system should strive for the lowest possible CO2 emissions for the heating system in question as a whole. So this is done in Växjö, and we got 3 schools. One is, I'll start with the smallest one, Lillestadskolan, which is 315 square meters. Then we have sort of a medium-sized school, which is 1,500 square meters, and then a rather big one, which is 3,000 square meters. And the whole point was to connect all of the radiators in every room. So there are about 212, 214 of them, and connect all of them, remotely control them, and commandeer the whole heating system based on what the weather is going to be. Is there someone going to be in those rooms? Are there people in the rooms? Are the windows open? So we equipped the whole buildings with, we are equipping them with thousands of sensors to understand from a granular perspective, basically everything that goes on. So this has been super intense and extremely exciting, working with these different partners, energy specialists, the real estate owner, also the municipality. And again, this was started off as an European sponsored innovation grant. And just to take it back a little bit, why are we doing this? And I think Facilio, like Prabhu and Hanu has talked a little bit about this, but we got these planetary demand for smarter buildings. We got mass urbanization, climate change, and the rate of digitalization in this industry has not been, phenomenal. I think, with the advent, and again, Assetti and Facilio, it's getting there, but we need to do a lot of different things. And it's not only, the classical way of catering to just the building or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or for building automation nerds, which I am, I love it. But it's also for, everyone else. How can we get, normal people, I would say, or tenants, users, more interested, more engaged, and also attract new people to both, building automation side, the energy side, and to real estate digitalization as a whole, because we definitely need this. Because as as most of you know, buildings represent, one of the biggest energy thieves in the world. And that has been, on my, my dream to do something about this. And there is, a $1 trillion opportunity with this. So this is, the building buzz hype cycle, where we can see, there's a lot of things happening, but it's going to take some time to reach the market. So we got, 5G, 6G, we got digital twins that you probably heard about. And if you haven't, read up about it. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. We have, artificial intelligence, all of these kind of things. So we have like the IT world that is knocking on the door, heaven's door possibly, to get into the real estate space. And what they want to do is to, take all these, fantastic people, fantastic IT solutions, but it's really hard to get, data out of buildings still. And even though we have, fantastic solutions out there, we need to make it faster, easier, and better. Because, the truth is that we got a lot of siloed data. Maintenance is still done, pretty fundamentally with people. We have a gap, it's unsustainable. We got a lot of challenges, to put it lightly. So based on this, I thought, okay, I've been in a lot of different meetings with, system integrators. I looked at these dashboards, and I'm not an energy specialist. So I can't really interpret everything that they mean, and I can't really place it in context. So some, using, floor plan, which is great. And then you have IoT, with some, points of interest. But I think there is another way of doing it, which is called, working with digital twins, where you basically copy reality, you turn that into a digital something, and then you overlay the information. So what you see here is exactly the same stuff here. But this, I explained this to my daughter. She actually thought it was a roller coaster, or I think it was a water, theme park. And I just said, no, these are pipes, here's, where it's flowing, here's the pressure, the velocity, all these kind of things. And it's really hard to do that with these dashboards. And I think, again, there's a skill shortage gap globally, where we need to attract new people, and this could be one of the ways of doing it. And future, I'm going to speed through this, but it's all about platform creation. You have smartphones, app store, do a lot of different things. Automotive, again, has been from proprietary silos, moving towards total solutions, moving towards ecosystems and platform thinking, where the value of data, grows exponentially when you have this platform economy. And it depends on the digital maturity as well, where smart cities, smart buildings, we're definitely not there. So that's sort of what we're trying to do. And again, the value of data, and again, this is a monetary business. So if we can make it sort of like simpler and understandable to create a platform that makes more sense, then I think it's going to be much better. So what we've done for this project is, again, we just took, okay, where are we in the world, and what kind of information do we have from these assets, and how can we collaborate better, easier between energy experts, between the CEO of the real estate company, between me as a digital transformation guy, between the developers, between the AI experts, between the building automation people, basically everyone. How can we explain this to everyone in an easy way, and also dramatically reduce the time it's going to take to explain things? So knowing and working with digital twins over the last 5 years, we took the drawings, and they acted as collaboration platform. We turned it into 3D models, not in 6 months, for quite a lot of money, but we actually managed to do this in just in a couple of weeks. And we connected it with IoT data, so we can actually see what is happening behind the scenes. We're using ontologies, taxonomies, and these kind of things to make it easier for AI or for data scientists to not only understand where the data is coming from based on understanding the context, but also work with the data, so it's got meaning. Okay, and also this led to creating this proof of concept, which is more than a proof of concept today. So this is, a complement to Assetti, a complement to Facilio, a complement to other DX systems out there, but it adds real-time visualization of what is actually happening in the buildings. So it's basically meant, to make BIM, building information models, come alive forever. And that's always also been a problem for construction or for real estate as a whole. So what you see here is, again, these are the schools. So we started off with these over here from the drawings. And that's the only thing that we had, taking this into this setting where you can actually go around like a computer game. So you can navigate through this. So let's say you want to invite someone to, okay, this needs fixing. They can actually go into the building, understand exactly where it is, and just see their part of whatever it is that you want to see. So they can look at, we want to see the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and we want to see the electrical, or it can be like an interior designer that is going to remodel something. So basically this is for everything. So Hani showed a picture, all these different people. It's exactly the same. It's just with a slightly different interface. And Valsegard and Extrude, they've been really helpful in making this come to life. So again, we have siloed data, so we're moving towards standardized interoperable data sets. We talked a lot about that before. I heard that interoperability is the key, but it's not just interoperability between system to system, but also from people to people, from system to people, and from people to system to AI, as well as data scientists. We can go from to predictive and prescriptive maintenance. We're solving the gap. We have transparency. Minimal vendor lock-in. Standardized API to the building, understandable for systems. We can transfer knowledge, and this is important, between people as well as generations. We can definitely increase the real estate value by net operating profit, but also creating a platform for the digital economy to really take place. And we can leverage existing solutions, again, like Assetti, Facilio, and other solutions, to get them into sort of like metaverse enablement and really, really go from there. We can understand more about not just the buildings, but also the context that leads to better consumption, well-being, productivity. It's not direct to cloud. It's actually local control first, where we create programmable buildings on the edge. We have definitely smart grid and smart city inclusion in a different way. And we're working on a plug-and-play installation with digital twin as a service, where you can basically press a button, deploy the sensors, and everything is going to come to life. And it's measurable, interoperable, and it's one of the main points is here. You simplified coordination and communication between experts in a global landscape. So you're not necessarily tied to the the vendors that are at your location, which has been a problem for building automation. But you can actually invite people from a global landscape to innovate with your buildings. Ivan, how am I with time? I can't see anything here. If you're there.
I think we are, yes, I am. I think we are approaching the limit for your session.
Okay, I'll speed through this.
Yes,
so,
but it's very interesting.
No, I mean, as you know, also, I can talk about this forever.
There's a question. What is the average cost of digitalizing 1 square meter? I think it's a very interesting question.
That's exactly what we're working out right now with the 3 pilot customers. So if you're interested, I'll definitely get back to you on exactly that question. And it happens in stages. So again, you create the connected digital twin where you have an existing buildings, need the drawings, need, maybe scan it, and or just, the floor plans, and then, to assess and deploy the sensors and get, a scan connected building, lightweight digital twin. Once you have that, and even just, the 3D models for collaboration is basically the first step. So we're trying to, create value at each and every step. So it's not this big bang approach, because usually the digital twin, for instance, is, how much does it cost? Great question. How do you get started, and why, why are we doing it? Mm-hmm. So we'll just take you through that journey. And then, it leads to, smarter organizations basing decisions on the actual, buildings or real estate portfolio that they have, with an understanding that can be transferred basically to anyone, which leads to digital first real estate, which Ivan Nokrin, I think, you're the first one that coined this, and I love it. And, we have an autonomous building. So we're going from, where we are right now, set points, thermostatics, to, where we need to be. So this leads to, ecosystem creation at scale, where again, Facilio, Assetti, any existing solution, is here as well. It's just, adding a little bit more context and then making it future ready as well. So next steps, just quickly where we are. So we're definitely looking for, immediate opportunities, introductions to real estate owners, integrators, district heating opportunities, and as well as investors and advisors. So the offering right now is, starting off as a BIM to twin as a service, where we, engaging a lot of different companies already that, they have floor plans or they want to scan something and then, make BIM or these things come alive forever. And, connect any IoT data, remotely control radiators, digital twin and AI readiness workshops and smart building strategies. That's also usually where it starts, to be honest. It's not so much, taking companies or people out of their comfort zone. It's understanding where they are and, which gear they're in. It might be that the first gear is, the best one. It might be reverse. It might be the third gear. So understanding where companies are is definitely important. And in the pipeline, planning a fundraising round, seed round, big seed, or a Series A. And we're solidifying this offering that we now, have in these pilot schools. And the intent is to really beam down, basically digital twins on that premise, campus environments or whatever building, and working with, 5G, 6G road mapping to network slicing. So you have this ecosystem ingrained into digitalization offering. And in talks with, Middle Eastern companies and as well as Africa, actually, for, not just building automation, but actually, smarter homes where they also have these problems. And then, we're tending into the luxury segment. So that's a little bit about me and the company as such. And I guess, there are questions. We can take them now if I have the time, or reach out to me afterwards.
I think it's a proper way to start a dialogue, because the question is a very vital one. How much does it cost? What is the average cost of creating a digital twin? How much does it cost to create a 3D model? How much does it cost to install the sensors? How much does it cost to install and set up the data platform? All of these questions are very relevant and very vital, like I said, but it does require more concrete case, because there are currently no, I would probably be right to say that there are no out-of-box ready-made solutions that are one-size-fits-all style yet.
No.
Perhaps there will be.
It's doubtful that it will be. It depends. I think like the process here, again, if you have an existing asset, if someone has any floor plans, just send them, get a quote how to get started. But again, it also, depends, what is it that companies want to do?
Yes.
We can do everything, but what do they actually want to do? And is there a business case for this? The financial rationale is definitely there. Sorry. But it always depends. And I hate that answer, to be honest, but that's where it is right now. But, definitely, per square meter is what we're going for. And that's what we, in discussion with this, with the real estate owners that we're, doing this pilot with, and the other ones that we're engaging with.
And I'm guessing that it is the discussion that ends usually in an argument or in a battle, because it all depends what you mean by digitalizing the space. And it's also we had a very long a discussion at one of our offline events a few years back, when one company started discussing something like, we can digitalize your space for 9 rubles per square meter, and the other company said, no, we can do it for only 100. You probably it's probably BS information. So there's a lot of questions that go into this question, and I guess it's all about why this question is asked is the companies want to know when they are going to return the investment that they make for procuring
the ROI,
these technologies.
Right?
The ROI.
TCO and ROI and how it corresponds to these kind of things. And I think, again, it's stackable, benefits.
Exactly.
So it's not just one, right?
This
It's
is something
a
that I
lot of
wanted
these things.
to say, is that the stacking benefit is
Yeah.
what we're after. Thank you, Nicholas.
Exactly. And I think today it's hard to get that because we got the 1,000 cuts problem with a lot of different apps that provide fantastic stuff.
Absolutely.
In isolation. So the intent with this digital twin, so to say, is to bring these together in an understandable way. So again, like my daughter or my son or my mom or my 104-year-old grandma, I can take her on a tour to explain how this is going,
Yes.
and also to simulate this. This is what will happen if we do this. And that will correspond to this monetary metrics, this energy savings, and we know exactly what will happen before we actually make these decisions. So it's also a smarter way for people, again, to make better decisions faster by sort of simulating the future in a way that everyone can understand. So that's sort of like, it brings it together in a fantastic way. And just for this project, I've been in many projects, the collaboration aspect when we had, the actual assets, that we can understand, bringing people to the same stuff, sitting there in either virtual reality or just like a Teams meeting, but in the schools remotely, we made so much better decisions, much faster, where we get everyone on the same page, instantly. It was, it's unbelievable actually. It's, in relation to other projects that I've had in, construction as well as building automation, where it's always a challenge, especially when you work with domain experts, that you want, okay, this is important, the CFO aspects are important, or the energy aspects are important. No, this stuff is important. And the thing is, everything is important, and that's sort of like why digital twins, again, that's the biggest why question, can bring these together and make these decisions, much faster and based on interoperable foundation.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, for giving this truly global view on these problems. I think what you said correctly in the beginning of your presentation is that building this just for the sake of facilitating the data exchange is one thing, but then having the tenant engagement tool is the main facilitator when it comes to building automation in general. And today, people have phenomenally high expectations when it comes to user interfaces. Yeah. Thanks to smartphones, people expect most of their services today to be rendered with the help of this handheld device. And this creates an opportunity to build larger customer engagement or user journeys using various end-user apps. And our next guest today is Florian Stoyan, CEO of Milu. We'll talk about their mobile-first technology solution. They have a very promising proposition as the ultimate platform for property and risk management. Milu is a solution for landlords and tenants in the residential space, matchmaking, managing the rental process from first inquiry to facility management is the range of services that Milu is providing to users. Florian, it's an honor to have you with us today. Tell us how you guys are growing your business in this quite a competitive market of short-term rentals, hospitality, side by side with such giants as Airbnb and the new stars like Oyo, for example. Over to you.
First of all, there's a pleasure being part of this great talks that I heard till now. Just to make a short brief is the fact that we are not focused on the short term, we are focused on middle and long term solution in the rental space. Okay, agree with you that it's a hard market in terms of the fact that technology is not so hard adopted mainly in the industry that we act. It's an obsolete market, less adoption as I see, because if you are speaking about the CE region where we act nowadays, renting an apartment, living apart each side of the barrier you are, if you're a tenant, if you're a lender, it resumes to one call, that is one action, that is to get or receive calls, and that's on having nothing as a digital solution that comes to end the process from A to Z point of view. And what finally Milu does, Milu is a platform that digitalizes the entire process of renting an apartment. aggregating and being a middleman as a software solution for all the players involved in this game. When I'm seeing all the players, I'm talking about the tenant, I'm talking about the landlord, and finally I'm talking about the professional, the contributor, how we know the guy that, because as much as we want to do, renting an apartment will have all the time at least an offline process that somebody should go and just make a handover of that apartment, but somebody should do it. So what Miro does, Miro comes and brings and build technology for all these players involved in the market. And more than that, we are end-to-end platform that also goes on the risk management of that apartment. I'll try to easily make a short brief about what are the benefits for all the parties. For the owner, it's very simple. Any owner in this world, they wants to have as much as low financial productivity, wants to have that apartment as much as rented as possible, to have his revenue, his interest as much as covered from one point of view. Renting an apartment is huge time consuming in what that comes with, making busy, discussing, qualifying the leads, and so on. Having no tool that can digitalize, from signing the lease, managing the bills, not necessarily only the payment, the rent bills, but also what comes with ticket management, with utility payments, and so on. So there's a huge mess in that area. For the tenants, it's simple. What Milo does to them, it offers them high qualified leads and gives them a tool that can have in their pocket and covers all the processes from finding the apartment, visiting completely digital, signing the lease, making the rent payments, making the utility payments, having that apartment insured and having 24 hours assistance, and not more than that, having all that comes with paying all the bills of that apartment in one solution. So for the tenant, it's simple. Here's one solution in their pocket that covers all the needs that comes along with that rent. And the third player that is not shown in this presentation, because it's a business model that we launched 2 months back, is the fact that the real estate people, the brokers, the professionals from these markets that act in the rental space, they want to have assets that Milu have them exclusively from the landlords. And what we have developed now, we also launch a product for the partners, contributors, that they can go and use our assets and they act like being partners. And I'm saying that a broker wants to have that assets to get that fees. He wants to get a portfolio of assets that he'll be able to win, not only short-term, for example, set up payments, but also if he's able to build a portfolio of assets to have a recurrent revenue from that asset. And what Milu does, offers to him the access to our exclusively apartments and listings, that he can go and make all the offline operations, and he gets a winning, first of all, by going and making the visit, making the sale process, the renting process with that tenant, and that he wins a first setup fee. And then based on the number of the apartment that he rented out using Milu platform, he builds his portfolio where he can win revenues between 1% and 3% from the entire revenues that his asset or portfolio is generating using our platform. In this way, we have the trilogy, like the tenant, the owner, and the landlord. And what Milu does, offered all that solution in terms of doing all the process in a digital way. This is the most single thing that anybody can understand. So Milu is a solution that aggregates and offers technology, innovative technology and unique technology for tenants, landlords, and the professionals from the market. Imagine a market, for example, like Bucharest, where a monthly are rented almost 10,000 apartments, and where they act 30,000 partners. Imagine Milu comes and stands in the middle of those three processes by offering a solution for an owner, where an owner also can get his rent on time, no matter what it's happening in that apartment. And I'm saying that is the following: when a lister on an owner comes to Milu platform, he can choose from 2 different packages that he can want to accept. The biggest package and the complete service that we offer for the landlord is the fact that in 30 days, since we took the apartment our unmanaged, we start paying that rent no matter what's happening, no matter if you rent it out or not, we start making the payment. And more than that, we guarantee those payments for at least 12 to 24 months Rent. So if, for example, if something happens in the 5th month of that lease with the tenant that we put it, that landlord, that owner would not feel any rent loss, because we're gonna cover those rents in order to have the 12 months covered by rent. And this way, we took the apartments in our portfolio exclusively. We use the offline partners, the agents with their app, with their technology, to go and make the visit, make the rental process and so on. And by using the tenant app, who has all that process, is completely digitalized for the beginning of search until he moves in the apartment and comes along with that rent. That is solution. Now the product it's launching in Romania. We're gonna launch this autumn. We're already in final stages to launching in Poland. Next year, the beginning, we'll be launching also in Turkey. And why not? At some point, if you have some good feedback, we get some interaction from the Russian market, which is also huge in terms of rental. It's booming, and it's presumed that also the Russian market in terms of rental will double in the next 3 to 5 years, because the construction sector, it's building like heavily, and mostly more than half of the new construction are bought in the investitional scope, meaning to get some interest and go on the rental market. We launched the product completely in 2018. We had different kind of pivotating with the product, because we didn't find the right niche. As you said, it is a high market. Till now, we've managed to take some investment around 1.4 million in terms of a pre-seed round and a seed round that we've ended in this March. We are booming now. We are growing. We're on a growth path that it's working well now. Adding this new partner strategy by adding the professional on the equation, and this is where we are in this point. Finally, Emily does all the processes that, from automizing the payments, qualifying the tenants, making tenant profiling, guaranteeing the payments to the owners and the landlords, and finally giving business and work and democratizing the market in terms of the professional from the market. Imagine like any people that can come and work as a Milu partner. For example, he can go and make visits. He can go and make inspection on those apartments. He can go and make pictures on those apartments. He can go at some point. We also gonna add different kind of handyman to go and make those different kind of reparation in those apartments. So there's a mix of things that can be done, and our solution offers to both of the players involved in these processes. I think that for my point of view, it's enough. If you want to start discussing, if you have any more question about the business market, I'm open for any question.
Thank you, Florian. We have some questions coming to you in the chat. First of all, the question is in your home market, or in some market where you feel certain about the figures. What is your market coverage now, and how do you expect to grow?
The idea is the following. Now, in this moment, we hope that we'll end, for example, Bucharest with almost 1,000 apartments under management. We'll end this 2021. We want to add 100 new apartments per month, from 8,000-9,000 that are monthly rented. So less than 5% we want to add monthly. Imagine that changing the people habits is not so easy. And the idea is that the rental market in the sea region is very fragmented, meaning the fact that the average ownership of a landlord it's 1.2 apartments. So you are discussing with tens of thousands of landlords that own 1-2 apartments. The process of changing the habits by doing themselves, by signing the lease, by moving to a completely digital solution is not easy. You need to go through educating those markets, need to change habits and behaviors. So there's a process that comes along with time is passing. But as I've told you, we are a company that now has a good sight in the market eyes, and it's working quite good nowadays. Quietly, we refuse different kind of assets to add in our portfolio because have certain criteria that we want to get before onboarding those apartments in our platform.
Understood. And one more question to you: what is the cost of joining joining system?
Exactly.
Cost of ownership.
As an owner.
Yes.
Okay, there are two packages that we sell now. One is called Carefree, which has all the benefits that previous said, only the fact that we don't guarantee the payments. So for the first package, all the landlords have to, let me give you a share screen to be much more clear for you. Give me a second. Share screen. Give me a sec. I'll go directly to Milu website to see exactly what I'm talking about. So we do like this. You see, these are the two packages that we sell nowadays. The first one, both of them include like this: professional pictures and video presentation, digital inventory, promoting the apartment, optimizing the rent level, managing the visit, signing the digital contract, handover processes, analysis of the tenant and his risk degree, digital manage of the invoice of the payments and so on, tenant replacement, insurance of the apartment, free technical assistance and intervention. This is the basic package that ends here. And for that, we take 20% from 1 month rent. And then there's a monthly subscription that is 5% from the rent. That's the first package. Okay. The second one has other 4 benefits that comes on the management and on the financial risk management, where previous said in 30 days, we start paying the rent no matter what for the entire lease period. And that is the same. There's a setup fee up in 20% margin, and then a 10% from the monthly rent cost.
Okay, so you are trying to win the market from agents, and you're also trying to.
No, we partners with agents. Milu offers solution for both of the player involved. Yeah, okay. If you are an agency ownership that has, for example, 20 brokers, yeah, that company, that guy might feel a pressure from Milu. But you are speaking about individuals, guys like democratizing, urbanizing the brokerage industry. That can be an individual that can come and work with us, passing some different kind of training, our own internal qualification process, training, or using the app and so on. But finally, we don't see like a competition with broker. We're partners with brokers because we give them business. Imagine that nowadays, a broker is going and taking an apartment exclusively for one apartment, and he's getting 50% from 1 month rent, or 1 month if it's a good one. With Milu, and that's all. With Milu, we are changing the industry, because we say like this: okay, come with work with us. We share with you from the initial payment that we took. For example, those 20% that we took from the landlord, we give it to the agent as an initial setup when the apartment is renting down and he done all the offline processes. And then from those recurrent revenues that we're taking from the tenant and from the landlord, we also give them, share with them. And based on that, imagine a partner that it's having in 6 months 100 apartments rented using Milu. On an average of 500 euros means the generated revenue is 50,000 euros. Okay, with a 3% recurrent revenue from that portfolio, that broker, that partner, we get each month 1,500 euros from Milu without doing nothing, because we split the revenues with them as long as that the tenant that he bring it to the platform stays in the Milu.
Understood. Well, there's been a lot of dispute in the PropTech arena whether or not agents and brokers are a profession or a specialization that is going to become extinct in the near future. And it's one of the questions on our chat, and I have spoken many times about it to colleagues in England and in the US, faster moving markets. And based on your answer, my understanding is also that it is repositioning of the people who work locally, because they know the local market anyway better. They understand the historical implications, and it is.
In my point of view, a broker in our case is not only a guy that goes and opens the doors, because the system of opening the door is completely digital. What we have, what we are doing in each apartment that we take on the portfolio until it's rented out to a tenant, we install a smart lock and a remote webcam. When a tenant puts in his app a visit request, that visit request goes directly to the partner app. He accepts it, and then 30 minutes before entering in that apartment, the app of the partner can open that smart lock and do the visit. So it's not literally going put the key. That is one the digitalizing process. But finally, what my belief is the fact that the broker job is reshaping in terms of how it's done. Because finally, in our case, a broker is not just opening the doors. He gets in the app. For example, he participates before adding a listing in our portfolio. We send them a push, and they have a tab in the app where they put bids on what that apartment will be rented, what will be the average price, and based on their knowledge, based on our algorithm that we have built in house, we know exactly that if that apartment, which will be the correct rental price, because if all the landlords will go on the package 2, we have to rent it out in those 30 days. Otherwise, we'll become a toxic asset for us, because we'll start paying the rents without being rented out to a tenant.
Understood.
And we'll have to be very careful. So the idea is that, to answer your question, is that we don't see the broker only as a guy that's doing the offline job. We see him involved in decision of the entire business model.
Florian, thank you very much for answering these questions and for your presentations. I think we all have learned a lot today, and thanks to all of our participants and contribution, and of course the daily work that you do to make people's lives better, because that's what I think we're all doing in the end of the day. We are making our lives better for us and our kids and for the future. Let me also thank our dear listeners who tuned in to this episode of PropTech Wednesday. Hope you found this interesting and inspiring. The registration to the following webinar is already open. You can find the link that was just posted in our chat by our moderator. And I think we ran out of time. So thanks again, everyone. And until next time, my friends.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.